Welcome to Rotary. We're happy to have you all here. We've got a great speaker today we're happy to have with us. We're going to turn the time over to Luke to introduce our speaker, the esteemed Lana Hiskey. So, Luke.
So I get the pleasure of introducing Lana, one of our board members here in Rotary. Lana Hiskey has been the Communications and Community Relations Administrator for Nebo School District since 2002. Lana is currently the Nebo Education Foundation Director. She is a past president of the Utah School Public Relations Association and past vice president for the Utah Association of Public School Foundations for the state of Utah. She has a marketing background with a master's degree in education administration from Southern Utah University. Lana taught public speaking and interviewing. She was the Utah Valley Pageant Director and helped with Miss Utah. Lana was aired in commercials for radio and television. A highlight for Lana was when she was called by Elder Kent Richards, the executive director of the Temple Department, to be the Payson Temple Open House Public Affairs Chairperson. She coordinated all the VIP tours, media relations, and social media for approximately 500,000 visitors, including the youth celebration event where over 13,000 youth participated. Lana is married to Bruce Hiskey. They have 4 children and soon to be 4 grandchildren. She enjoys going boating, four-wheeling, hiking, and international traveling, especially with her family. Her daughter Shaylee, who will be graduating this April in communications, said of her mom, she said that mom is one of the most kind-hearted and giving people I know. She's always willing to help others and puts them before herself. Mom looks for the tender mercies of life each and every day, and that is what helps her to find true happiness in her life. With my pleasure, Lana Hiskey.
I shouldn't have let my daughter get a hold of that because it brought tears to my eyes. It's great to be among friends. So I think a lot of you know who I am already, but I was asked to talk a little bit about my position at Nebo School District. And as you know, I started teaching 31 years ago, actually, at Springville High School. I started there teaching marketing and doing the DECA Club there. We had kids that went to nationals. That was kind of exciting. And then after I had my twins, there was a position open at Spanish Fork High School. So I was excited to come and teach at Spanish Fork High School. And I remember with my business management students, we would come down and visit with Bill at Macy's, and that was a highlight. So they would come and see how marketing is done here at Macy's, and so that was fun. And then, like you mentioned, in 2002, I started this communications, community relations position at Nebo School District, and it's very varied. In the beginning, I actually wanted to stay in the classroom and turned the job down because I love teenagers, but it's been a great experience. I get to work with amazing people. One of my titles is the Foundation Executive Director, and I know Pat was a part of that years ago, and that's been a highlight, honestly, because I get to see businesses donate to classrooms, to programs, to schools, and I just amazes me actually how generous people are and help. You know, we've got individuals in here that donate to scholarships, donate to our programs and to our schools, and it really goes a long way. You just have no idea how excited teachers get when they receive funds. As a foundation board, when we go in and deliver their grant checks, we've had teachers jump up and down, jump up on their chair, sing, dance, and students, also get excited. So that's just a highlight. And those grants really come from donations that come into the foundation each and every year. We always do a big fundraiser in November and ask for donations. And then we do our Green Fever Golf that's similar to the Rotary Chamber Golf Tournament. And all of those funds go to grants for teachers. So, it's funded things like musical instruments. When we have students that can't afford musical instruments, it funds scientific balances or calculators, lots and lots of books. Lately, it's been funding a lot of technology. So iPads for the lower grades and Chromebooks for the upper grades. And so the funds get used up quickly. So again, thank you everyone for donating. There's so many in here that donate, so thank you. So that's one of Oh, I probably should tell you a little bit more about the foundation too. It's a 20-member board, and it's got members on it from Springville all the way down to Goshen and Genola. So we've got board members in every community, and that helps us to know what the needs are. So that really helps. The foundation was founded in 1994, and has been going and growing ever since. So we're just tickled. We brought in over $500,000 last year, and again, all of those funds go back to kids and students and teachers, so we were really thrilled with that. So that's one hat. The other side of my job is probably the job you see a little bit, and that is I get to handle all the communication pieces for Nebo School District. So I actually left you some examples so you can kind of see. So this is our yearly, what we call Nebo School District at a glance. It just kind of has highlights for the year. I'm in the process of making the one currently, and it will be out next month in September. So that falls under my duties, as well as this again is like a partners brochure that we put together. Here's another brochure. So any of these pieces that you see that go out in the mail, you're going to be getting at least 3 pieces in the mail probably in the next 2 months. And that's all in my office. I am a one-person PR person, and when I go to my national trainings, they're always just shocked, that we could have only one person try and handle all the media with 33,000 students. That's how many we're starting the school year with this year, 33,000. So that's bigger than BYU, not as big as Utah Valley, but much bigger than Utah State. So we're a large school district, and we employ 4,000 employees. And what's interesting about that is that includes our part-time and full-time employees. So we have 1,500 teachers. So out of that 4,000 employees, you can see we have about 1,500 teachers. The rest of those are comprised of what we call staff, and that would be like your secretaries, your custodians, lunch, your foods individuals, trying to think, librarians, maintenance. We have a full maintenance shop that has to keep our schools running, our transportation department. We've had a lot of awards with our a maintenance crew that just works on our buses. We have 150 buses that run, and that changes back and forth, down to 138 up to 150 plus buses. And they run every day that school's in, and they cover 8,800 miles a day, the buses. 8,800 miles a day. Is that crazy? I mean, you have no idea. Our district's large. We even go clear around on the other side of Utah Lake. So if that ever grows, we'll be as big as Alpine. I hope not. That's the one thing I love about Nebo School District is even though we have a large land mass, we have a small town feel. You can come in anytime at the district office and ask for someone, and we can make sure that we can get you to the right person so that we have a lot of parents coming in right now because school's going to start next week. So we still have that small town feel, which I really appreciate at Nebo District. A couple other things that I get to do. I consult with the superintendent on all communications, and so we communicate a lot. We have a meeting here shortly, just soon after this meeting, that we'll be meeting together on the bond. Some of you have heard about the bond. Hopefully we'll have him come in and present later, and he can give you a lot of details on the bond. But the highlights are, after doing surveys with parents, we found that in our area, parents want middle schools back. And so after doing extensive surveying, we found that it would be nice to build some middle schools and have kindergarten through, it'd be kindergarten through 5th grade in the elementary schools, and then 6th and 7th in middle, and then 8th and 9th in junior high, and then 9th through 12th in the high schools. And it came back overwhelmingly that that's what parents wanted. And I love that model too. So we're looking at building 3 new middle schools. One would be in this area that would cover Maple Mountain, east side of Spanish Fork, and then another middle school in Springville, and then a 3rd middle school in Salem. And then after we did the first survey, then we had a ton of comments coming back in that said, when are we going to replace these high schools that are getting old? And I have also heard they look really good. Our old high schools look really good. And that's actually kudos to our custodial staff and our administrators and our teachers and our students for taking good care of those buildings. But they definitely are lacking. If you're in there, you know that technology's not quite up to snuff. You also realize that the boilers go out, the air conditioning. I was there last week trying to film a little piece, and I was literally sweating. I had sweating just dripping off my face. And the videoer, I said, how are you doing? I've got sweat going right down my back. And he's like, I do too. So, but of course, students aren't in right now, and so they're not, don't have anything on right now, so it was pretty hot. So we do have those, plus we always worry about seismic infrastructure with our buildings as well. And so that came back overwhelmingly. They'd like to replace the 3 high schools. That would be Springville High, Payson High, and Spanish Fork High. In doing that, we needed to go to a bond. The bond is for $298 million, and that would not increase the tax rate. And I'm going to let the superintendent talk all about that, but just so you know, the reason they can do that is it's like a car payment. When you buy a new car, you have a car payment if it's $250 a month, and when you sell that car, if you just keep that same payment, $250, and buy a new car, then you can continue carrying out the bond, So yes, it is an increase in the fact that if you don't let that interest or that rate go away, that's the increase. But as far as a tax rate increase, that would not happen. So, and that's kudos to our finance people. We're really tickled that they can go through and see far enough ahead. If we didn't bond, eventually that would decrease over a 15-year period. The tax rate would decrease. So that's just a little snippet of that. A couple other things that we do. So some fun things that I like to do is I like to celebrate students. And that's my fun part of my job. So I'm in schools a lot. And I get to go and really celebrate all the good things that are happening. And, we see it internally all the time. It never makes the news when it's good news, because I guess that's not sellable. But we have a lot of incredible things going on. I just found out, it would have been Monday, that we have one of our high school students that just won the overall championship at the CrossFit Games. That's Dallin Pepper. You might have remembered him last year. We did a bunch of different media things with him last year. And what an incredible individual. And he goes to Spanish Fork High. And so he's just coming back from those games, and that's a big deal. It's like the Olympics of CrossFit. So kind of exciting. That was just recent. But we have all kinds of things, academic things going on that pretty proud of our students. So I get to celebrate all of that. So that's awesome. I'm in charge of the internal newsletter that we send out every month, and that's our communications out to our employees so they know what's going on and some of our celebrations. And kind of the most exciting thing, a few years ago, we came up with an idea of we want to celebrate our educators and our staff and our teachers and the good things that they're doing. So we have what we call Peak Awards, and we call them Peak Awards because of the mountain peaks, and Nebo is a mountain peak. And what these are, they're customer service awards, and we love parents and community. You can go online and look up Peak Awards, and you can submit people for Peak Awards. And write a little blurb about why you think they're amazing. And then we recognize them. We either recognize them at board meeting. We take 6 a month, and actually we get hundreds submitted, which is really cool. And we recognize 6 every month. The school board and the superintendent staff recognizes them. And then others that don't get pulled out, then we also recognize them in the Nebo newsletter. And so the staff and everyone gets to see and kind of celebrates. And we really talk about the good things that people are doing. So that kind of helps spur, more good things that are happening. So PEAK stands for Positive Energy and Kindness Award. Okay, and so that's kind of our customer service that we love. One thing that's really changed, and I'm going to age myself here a lot, but when I first started, I had a camera with film. And I would run down here to Macy's, and I would get the film printed, and then I would head back, and then I'd have to scan it in. And anyway, that's how I did all of our celebrations. And now It's way easy. I just grab my cell phone, or I have a nice camera as well when I've got really long distance shots and things, and we celebrate it that way. So that's a lot faster. Another thing that came into all of our lives is social media. And social media can be very time consuming, and I can honestly say I don't love social media. It's not my, I don't know what, I like to look at all the things other people are doing and they're cool things, but I don't engage a ton on social media. But it's fun to see what my grandkids were doing when they lived in Texas, and all my friends, and I love that part of it. Social media for work is a lot different. You know, we do send out the celebrations and things, but what's difficult is when you have 33,000 students, so they have probably 33,000 parents, and then they have questions, and if they're sending those in social media, that's not the easiest way to get your answer answered. So I would plead that if you really do have, you know, questions or sincere questions, to go ahead and email the correct person, or if you email me, I can get it to the correct person, because that's the best way to get connected. And then, anyway, of course that's coming from old school, but I know it works better. So social media has become a part of our lives, and that's just part of communication. And the cool thing about social media is it's a push notification oftentimes. We have our own app. Any of you guys have Nebo App? The Nebo App? Yes, yes. The Nebo App is awesome. It's free, and you can sign up for whatever schools your kids are involved in or your grandkids are involved in, and it will push out information. It's really important to get on that, because that gives you all the latest and updates, and it also gives out our emergency type information, such as a school closure because of snow, or you know, if there's a threat or anything like that, we get that out on that social media app, and it works really well. So I would recommend doing that. Another thing I get to deal with is not just social media, but the news media. And most of the time, the news media is fine. They have questions usually and want to know why something's done a certain way, and it works out really well. It's not my favorite. I don't love being on TV. One of my, how I like to run the media is if it's a positive thing and it's really a cool thing, we like to put the principals or the teachers or the students on camera. When it's something that's very difficult or negative, then I usually go on camera. So if you see something that's serious or negative, then you'll probably see me on camera, which is not my favorite. The most difficult situations are when we have one of our own employees not make a good choice. Those are the very most difficult. And one of the reasons that's difficult is because legally we can't divulge information. So, you know, once we work with police very well. In fact, I love all of our police agencies that we deal with, because they're so good. They are so good. Here in Spanish Fork, I just really appreciate all they do, and we work with them very closely. So that's not my favorite. And I'm not a news junkie. I have family members that are news junkies, and they love the news, and I really don't. And I really don't now. So I'm being honest here. A couple of other things that we do that I love is that's training some employees in each of the schools. I trained a PR person in each of the schools so that they can help share out cool things that are happening in their school. And then they share those to me, and we can get those out. But they also share it just to their own social media and their own websites, which is kind of a cool idea. I'm trying to think if I've mentioned everything. One of the things about my job is I'm usually never off the clock. Last night I had a late night meeting, and tonight I have another late night meeting, and tomorrow night I have another late night meeting, and I'm still at work during the day. So some of those get long. So I love to be off the grid sometimes. Lake Powell's my favorite place, because you can be off the grid and no one can get a hold of me, and it's awesome. We have to do that at least once a year. But I actually really do love whom I work with. We have great teachers and great administrators that, you know, the reason they're in education is because they love taking care of students, and they love seeing the success of students. And, you know, you can really make an impact in teachers' lives. teachers can really make an impact in students' lives and really make a difference. We try and get testimonials from students, and we use those, and how a teacher here or a teacher there really made a difference in their life and what they're doing. So we appreciate all of our teachers. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me speak, I think.